Hello, you're very welcome to the Overlap Rugby podcast. As you may know by now, we're doing something a little different this week. We have a special collaboration with NGJ Rugby, whose links are in the description to his channel. He's got a brilliant rugby channel where he's done some super class in-depth analysis, great use of footage. Can't recommend it enough. For those of you who are into watching YouTube rugby stuff, his is the place to go. And we had a big conversation, which we've broken up into a number of different videos. There's already a couple up, one on our channel, one on his. This is our discussion of what the best try ever scored is. Loads of different candidates, and we got into it, so check it out. So up next, we have another interesting question. What's the best try ever scored? And context is king here. Obviously, there have been some technical tries at tier 2 level that probably don't quite stack up. What are the big tries all throughout world history? Like, there's so many candidates. I don't know who I'm going to pitch it to. I might give mine first, or will I pick?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give mine and then I'll bounce it over to you, Noah. But
No problem.
I am going to, and it's unfortunate because it ties in with my Jonah Lomu call. It's Jonah Lomu versus England 1995, and I know it's a painful memory for you to relive, but like, my God, what a try! A phenomenal try, and I was torn between that one or the one he scored against France, which was similarly phenomenal.
He got a great one against Australia.
He did. Like, I love me some of those Jonah Lomu tries, and I like, as much as you think that's kind of a hackneyed one. Anytime I just watch it back on YouTube, I'm like, oh, no, that's such a try.
Fuck it, he's the GOAT. He's GOAT.
Yeah. We go back at it. Yeah. I'm still lobbying, even though we flipped that, I'm still lobbying for Jonah. But yeah, no, that as far as you never see the like of it before or since, because the game has come to such a level where guys can tackle specimens like that. And even like Julian Sevilla had a couple of seasons of doing things like that, but nothing to the same extent of the dominance and the dominant collisions that Jonah had.
Tries. That was the try that was seen around the world.
Yes.
World Cup.
Poor Mike Cat. Jesus.
Poor Mike. I know. Yeah.
Imagine if that was social media. He would have been mean to shit. His legs over his head and all that shit.
It was brave of him to stand there.
It was. Yes. It was. Yeah. Try and do the old speed bump tackle, which is all that anyone had to offer against.
Got
Jonah.
A freight train coming at him. He's like, I accept my fate. It was you know what it is. Usually when people do that sort of speed bump thing, people trip over. It's the fact that his leg perfectly like stepped over Mike Cat's like shoulder and his head. And it was just sort of
my favorite thing about that try is that he has a support player on his inside. He has a support player on his inside. There's an easy try, but he's like, no, my cat's not going to tackle me.
Yeah,
I'm just going to keep running.
Just shrugging his shoulder. All right, let's see.
Yes, there's no question that's a great try.
It's well up there. I'm bouncing over to you though. What do you have to come back with me? What was your pick?
So you guys talked about like there's been loads of tries of skill, and like this try isn't the most skillful, but it's the most important try that I've ever witnessed in the best game I've ever seen in my life. And that is Japan versus South Africa, where their substitute, whose name escapes me, scores in the corner against JP Peterson.
To find what a try.
I'm Googling right now who got that try.
Man.
What a score.
And like you're hitting
it with the handoff.
Oh, yeah. And as I was saying, context is king. Like the last play of the game, they had a chance to go for the draw. They didn't. They took the scrum bravely, courageously, and then one side of the pitch to the other, capitalize on the extra man. Get over
it was Michael Leach's carry when it was it wasn't a 2-on-1, it was a 2-on-2, but he got on the outside of it. It's not Jesse Krill, because Jesse Krill got handed off, didn't he?
He did get fended off by
it might have been Peterson, I'm not sure, but he sort of got on the outside. He rode the tackle and sort of go over the gain line, and they got like that close. And then it's sort of like clutch plays like that. Like that try changed Japan rugby forever.
True.
That is where everyone was like, yo, Japan are onto, because like we've talked about before, Japan have always played like some of the best rugby at tournaments. Like I remember when they played against the All Blacks in 2011, I was like, these guys are throwing it about. It's amazing. They got pumped. Like every time New Zealand got the ball, they scored. But they, with Eddie Jones, sort of like he also, I really like interviews with Eddie Jones because I think he's a fascinating person in general. I don't always agree with him. Get Cipriani in my fucking squad.
I know, right? I know.
He's better than George Ford. He's an upgrade on George. He does everything George Ford.
No question.
Yes. We were very much the Cipriani lobbyists on the podcast going, like, why is he not in the squad? And then Alex Good as well, based on the Saris showing last year.
Had
So,
serious question marks.
I love Eddie Jones because he has brought me much joy as an England fan in his tenure.
Yeah.
But I also despise him sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, that's every rugby fan's relationship with the man.
But I don't think you understand the level of hate. Like, I see his face and his weird thing where he doesn't shave the top of his head, even though he's so bald up there. There's like that little tuft. I'm like, shave your fucking head. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of seeing this weird
Shave
thing
your
that
head
you
and pick Cipriani.
sort your life out, Eddie. I've had enough. What was I talking about?
You were talking about Japan's try.
Yes, Japan. His sort of, he talks about in interviews a lot how Japan had a culture of accepting losing, and that really pissed him off. And there's a really famous interview where their hooker, who was captain at the time, is doing an interview, and he's sort of accepting losing, and he got so irate. He was just like, "Well, my players have just accepted that we're losers, and that's not what I want." And he called his hooker out, who's a great player. But he changed the way they thought about themselves, and then
that's why he left. I think that's why Eddie Jones announced he was leaving before that World Cup, so they didn't have their big win. I think that's why he left, is because he just said they didn't have the right attitude.
And they, like, in that game, it all came good for them. And like, to be fair, like with Eddie Jones as well, just to digress, like anytime you watch like the World Cup, he's been in the South African camp as they've been winning the World Cup. Australia, he was there too in that great side. Like, he has been all around the world. His credentials are not in dispute. But I agree with you. Yeah, as much as I respect the hell out of him, he annoys me, and I disagree with him.
I disagree with him a lot, and it really upsets me because I like him, but I also hate him.
It's why one of the things that I love Conor O'Shea for, and will forever, is that little Rookgate thing that really caused him such. God. I'm sure it didn't enjoy it either. But
that was one of my favorite rugby
games. It's just great to watch. Like, for the whole first half.
Upsetting.
That was what Schadenfreude, that word is invented for.
Like
just enjoying England rugby fans' misery in that game.
I understand why we're hated around the world. Our country's done some shite, and it's not great. But it's like you know what it is. You know who really upsets me? When we lose to Wales, I can't take it. It's the smugness of when you're I don't get triggered by anyone else. But when Wales fans talk about beating England, I'm just there like, I need to go.
Oh, they definitely enjoy it that little bit. Maybe a bit more even than Irish. Like, Irish fans love beating England as well. Don't get me wrong, and some of our great historical days are. But yeah, you're right. There's that prickly element between England and Wales, and all of the games between you guys are so.
Like, if you ask the average Welsh fan, would you rather lose all the rest of your games and beat England, or win all the rest of your games, lose to England but win the Six Nations? A lot of them would have to think about it.
It's like a dilemma. It's a proper
it's genuinely a tough question. Somehow,
I think they choose England. Honestly,
a lot would.
We've won before, like England, like the bragging rights.
We'll win the Six Nations next year. Just let us get England this time.
But it's back to my point. Japan, that try changed the rugby world, and the like you guys talk about.
Pulling off under pressure was something else.
That was and it was pure Japanese rugby. Like, it was speed and it was skill and it was courage and it was the little guy against the big giant, and it was amazing.
They had a kick for a draw, and they didn't take it.
And it's the reason that everyone's inviting Japan into World Rugby, like, oh, that top league looks good, and oh, you got all that money. Like, it changed World Rugby forever, and I hope it's like the turning point that makes Japan a proper tier 1 nation, like up there with the likes of England, Ireland, like all the like rugby nations.
That's what we want.
In a world where context is king, I think that is the strongest argument. So mine feels a bit moot at this point, but I'm just going to go for one of my favorite tries. Possibly my favourite try that I ever witnessed was Sean Maitland against England in 2018. I'm not sure if you remember it, but this.
I do.
Oh, you do. Yeah. This began with the Finn Russell
pass,
fucking 25 meters off the left hand, perfect pass to Hugh Jones. And it was Scotland at their very best. It was the best we've ever seen of Scotland, where they were just playing this brilliant, keep the ball alive, running rugby. And after that phenomenal pass, then the maturity to finish it, to bring it from the right side of the field to the left side of the field. There's a great little McAnally perp on Farrell in the middle there, and then another lovely Finn Russell pass to finish it off over the head.
As far as Techers goes, that's definitely a great try.
It was just a lovely skill to that try, and it was Finn Russell, who is one of my favourite players to watch, just at his absolute best. And I can't tell you how many times I've watched that try back, and I've watched that pass back. It started it all, and it's just one of the best pieces of skill I've seen on a rugby field.
Well, like we definitely we always try, like we'll go around to the field and chuck a rugby ball around and try just idly to throw a long pass off the left. And like I used to be a scrum half when I was playing, but it's like I can't do that. How did he do that? It's phenomenal. Like,
it's so crisp. It's like the way the ball's turning. It's like
and it has you managed to get a little dip on it. Yeah, it dives. Like a really good tactical play.
Such a glorious score.
That's one of the most depressing games I've ever watched.
To be honest, those are three great tries, but my instinct is to tip my hat to you, sir. I think you've won this round. That is, it's very hard to disagree.
Namaste, brethren. Namaste.
Namaste. Just the sheer context of that try, and you're dead right that it changed the game.
Yeah.
But Finn Russell made England fans cry, so what
and so did Jonah, to be fair.
Yes. My argument against your Jonah try, I don't think you picked the best Jonah try. The best Jonah try is the one against France.
The one against France is also...
It's the one that I can't believe it when I'm watching it. It's like seven people, and he's shrugging them off. He's just...
and you have no right to get there at all. You could take your pick of just all the Jonah tries. That's I'm going to narrow my best try to those Jonah tries. That were awesome.
Just put Jonah on the screen. That's the best try ever. Jonah.
There you go. Enjoy. Well, we can all enjoy him scoring against France maybe a bit more than the English.
Yes,
so I'll
it unites people.
I've only just noticed that we both picked tries.
I noticed that before. I'm sorry about that.
Hey, I understand. Colonization is a bitch. And
to be fair, I think some of our Welsh subs will probably be like, "Yeah, you're right." Yeah. What about that? What about that Wales try we scored against England?
If you pick that Tipperick try that they scored recently, I'd have a hard job arguing. That's fair. If they'd won that game, actually, that would have been up there, I think, in terms of context.
Who was it who scored that? The one they scored in the World Cup, which was I'm probably wrong, but the one where they had a scrummy on the wing. I think it might have been Gareth Davis who dropped it on the toe in 2015. In 2015.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember this one. Who was it against?
When Wales beat England in the
God, yeah. I blocked out that game.
I think Gareth Davis.
That game never happened to me.
Yeah, but that was a great try as well. What was your favourite try that England scored against England?
I considered there were two others I considered, which was Sean O'Brien against the All Blacks for the Lions.
Yes, I considered that one as well.
Great score. And then Brian O'Driscoll against Australia for the Lions as well in 2000.
I love the
individual tries.
It's one of the best
commentary
calls.
Yes,
it
is.
It's iconic. It's so good.
Yeah. I actually really like Miles Harrison. I think he does a great job.
Yeah.
I think Miles is great. It's just Stuart's very divisive.
Stuart is divisive. He does have a real love for the game.
I don't agree with him on everything, but he's okay. He's good.
Well, speaking as rugby YouTubers, and which we all are, like we are commentating on rugby, and the thing that vexes me most is when you just have parochial commentary. So, like, there was a great try that Issa Nasiwa scored for the Barbarians against Wales a few years ago, and it was to win the game. And in co-commentary was Davies, Jonathan Davies. And like his first reaction to this worldie of a try that won the game was just like, and that disappoints me. He's just like, what are you doing? Call the game. You're like, come on, you're a commentator. Don't be that disappoints me. That's an amazing try.
So I grew up on Stuart Barnes. So the first rugby exposure I had was the 97 Lions tour that him and Miles Harrison's commentated. So I grew up like Stuart Barnes has been my voice of rugby, and I really liked like I find his voice quite soothing. It's a weird thing to say, but like that's my nostalgia, like watch that with my dad sort of thing.
But it's when European rugby as well.
It's just when he shits on players, I hate it. I hate when anyone just
negativity is just not really welcome there.
It's supposed to be propping everyone up. That's how people care. I hate when people talk about that's terrible from this person, and just like you could never do anything that person can do in life.
No,
stop shitting on people.
It's something we have to be careful about as YouTubers as well. Not getting outside of our.
That's why I pre-write my videos so I don't shit on people.
It's like, hang on, who the hell am I?
No, but that's like it really, because we watch a lot of games with Irish commentary and stuff, and it wrecks my head. And then the other thing, like I've seen two different. There's one clip actually from the Lions. I think it might be the Lions in the most recent one against the All Blacks with 2017 with Ben Teo, and there's a bit of a moment where there's an overlap and Teo gets the ball and all he has to do is fire a pass out and it's a try, and he runs into contact against three men, and the Northern Hemisphere commentary is Teo takes 3 to stop him, and the Southern Hemisphere commentary, Justin Marshall's going, Teo, it's there. He's butchered it. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Like two different.
I'll make an exception for that moment. It really pissed me off when I watched it. it's so like rugby by numbers. Like, oh, that's the point where everyone just passes and then and it's maybe it's because it was on his left hand. Like I understand
exactly it. He didn't back his skill set to execute, which is like
it was quite a long
mindset,
pass.
That's wrong. It was a long pass. It was
sort of
pass,
like
but
it's a professional player's level pass. Like you need in this be clutch, be like Japan.
Well, Manonu would have made the pass.
Yes, and that's why you can't. I like Bentiu. I think he's like, it's a weird thing being Bentiu in rugby union because it's like against actual crash ball centres, he struggles. Like Bastareaud handled him. Like but against players who are he's sort of a. They talk about like poor man's da-da-da. It's sort of like they tried to make Bentiu the Tuolangi when Tuolangi's injured. And he's not that. He's a guy who can pick a line and is strong enough to break through when he has like a half shoulder. He's not a Tuolangi where shoulder on shoulder, I'm still going forward.
That's
like,
right.
You can't stop me.
We have terrible associations with Bentiu because we're diehard Leinster fans and he spent a couple of seasons with us in our worst ever era when Matt O'Connor was in charge. And it's just... We just wanted him out of there.
Yeah, he was killing the ball. He was every time there was a bit of space, he'd just take it into contact, and you're like, that's not the Leinster way. Leinster finds space.
It sounds so much better in your accent, the Leinster way. The Leinster way. I hope I didn't butcher that. Leinster way. That's right.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, there's that. Like the Munster fans will hate the way that sounds coming out of our mouth.
Everyone around where I grew up was a Munster fan. I don't know why. Maybe it's like London, like I grew up at Catholic school, like in northwest London. There's like loads of Irish and Jamaican people. So all the Irish people were Munster fans when I grew up. There was no Leinster fans. I don't know if that's a thing.
That was true right up until like it's tipping now. But there were a lot of people from Dublin who used to be Munster fans, even though Dublin's in Leinster, because Munster were originally the best team. Munster were the team who beat the All Blacks. Munster were first team to win the Celtic League, first team to win the European Cup.
Well, apart from Ulster.
Ulster don't matter. But
stand up for the Ulster.
Give me a
best John ever.
Munster were the most popular team in Ireland until in recent seasons. Obviously, Leinster overtook them and became a better side, and now slowly they've built up the fan base where they probably now have more fans than Munster. But Munster was the original traditional Irish team. And there was just sort of an attitude of like Munster are real men, Leinster are ladyboys. Leinster throw it around and end up bottling it in the big games, whereas Munster have the grit to get it done. But thankfully,
things have shifted.
Leinster are awesome. Like you've like monopolised that league. Like there's so much.
That's great at the moment. We were unbeaten. We were unbeaten on the unbeaten season, and it was 19 wins. So as a friend of ours put it, it was COVID-19, Leinster 19 for the season.
What's it? That Leinster team, it just churns out awesome, like amazing club level players in terms of like international players. It's a hard, like you have to blood people, and like I feel bad for Joey Carberry because like Joey Carberry is one of the best fly half prospects I've seen in the last few years in terms of that should be the guy. Like that needs to be the guy starting every week.
I want him at 15.
I would love to see him.
When you beat Wasps and you broke my heart in the European Champions Cup final.
Like him and Johnny Sexton on the team on the pitch at the same time, and such danger. They're both beautiful passers and both beautiful readers of a game. He's definitely like Leinster. The Leinster Academy is their strength. They produce loads of players, and they actually supply a lot of the other provinces now. They become the main.
Why do you play Jack Byrne instead of Joey Carberry in international games for Ireland? I don't understand. Rossburn, sorry, not Jack.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
Carberry's injured most of the time is the honest answer. I think if Carberry's fit, Carberry's on the bench.
Yes,
he's had huge injury problems.
He has ankle problems. He's had to do elective surgery this year.
He's not being overlooked. Like if Carberry's fit, he's under 23 and should be starting at 15 or something.
That's what I'm just a casual Ireland fan. Like play Joey for fuck's sake.
Where is he?
Where is he? I've like every game I've seen him in. I'm like that Munster game against Gloucester this season.
That was
Cipriani's like got a point to prove. Like I want to be in it, and he just outplayed him. And I was like, that guy is good. Like he's
very good. He's very good. Actually, I think it was Cheika shook his hand after the first test in the Australian tour we did a few seasons back. They didn't play Johnny. They played him to give him game time for the World Cup. And although we lost the game, he had a very fine game. And Cheika came up to him afterwards, and like Cheika, former Leinster coach himself, shook his hand and said, "Oh, you're a serious player."
Way back in 2016, before Joey had broken out, Graham Henry came to Leinster to look at them in pre-season for a couple of weeks. Apparently, he took one look at Joey Carbery and was like, "That's your 10 for the next 10 years."
He's me. I am Graham Henry. He's the guy.
World Cup winning All Blacks captain or All Blacks coach. You're going to listen to. But I think for best, we were just talking best try ever, weren't we? That's where we were. Just in terms of wrapping up,
so many tangents.
I know this is what happens with us as well. I love chatting rugby, but I am going to see the point. Your Japan call is the best try. I think that is.
Yes, lad. We've all got one. This is it.
Well diversified.
We didn't plan this, guys. This is just natural chemistry.
All right. Thank you very much for watching that video. That was obviously part 3 of this 5-part special with NGJ Rugby. You'll have to head over to his channel again. Links in the description below to catch tomorrow's video. Who's our favourite player of all time? Different question.